1 in 4 women were married before the age of 18 worldwide in 2014. A shocking number, but in countries like India, Yemen, and Tanzania, this happens to be a common occurrence, and the girls there are forced to be married away. Families make trades with their daughters for items of value, such as cattle and vehicles. Yes, parents are selling their little girls to grown men for cows. Many of these girls admit to have been abused by their significantly older husbands. Others use the early send-off as a way to avoid abuse from other men in their lives. One Tanzanian girl told her story. A houseboy in the house I was working in asked me to marry him. She said, I agreed because I saw no other way to avoid mistreatment from my boss. Child brides must also quit any educational programs that they have been involved in so that they can take care of their husbands and have children as soon as possible. But these marriages can cause serious violence, limitation, and exploitation for young girls. And for what? A trade. Another 19-year-old in Tanzania, Anita, was forced by her father at the age of 16 to quit her schooling and marry. My father said he did not have money to support my schooling, she said. I then discovered that he had already received 20 cows as dowry from me. It is recorded that girls pressed into such child marriage often become pregnant because, yes, they have sex with young girls. And this is a leading risk of death in developing countries. The UN itself has plainly stated child marriage is a human rights violation. Despite laws and rules against it, the practice remains widespread and in part because of persistent poverty and gender inequality. Many may argue that we should not intervene in another country's culture, but I refuse to believe that putting young girls at risk of marital rape and female genital mutilation is an acceptable tradition. Had I myself been born in Tanzania, Yemen, or India, there is a very good chance that I would not be standing here before you speaking my mind. Most likely I would be sitting in a small home surrounded by several children, exhausted by the work of a day in the life of a wife and mother. I would not be a bright, unique, and up-and-coming young lady. I would be property. I'd be wearing a price tag around my neck that said sold. I would feel alone and meaningless. Adults wouldn't be telling me to write a lead speech, a sophomore essay, or an essay on World War II. They would say I don't have time for expressing myself. And education is something I would never need anyway. It is true, you really wouldn't need to know how to use the logarithm button on your TI-89 calculator. If you're living in poverty, raising children and tending a farm day in and day out for the rest of your life without any true love or compassion. Fortunately, I am not destined for such a life, and I have the freedom, the right, and the passion to tell you that I, a young woman living in the United States, shame the people who think that this lifestyle is in any way acceptable. It's 2015, and we cannot move forward as an international society if our girls are being told that they can't be something great. Why must women give birth to boys who will become something great? Why can't we be something great first? What's even better, we could change our whole world together. So how can I sit in my comfortable home listening to my father call me his precious princess when there are girls out there being traded for cows? Why have I grown up being given trophies and awards for every little thing I do, while girls my age are being stripped of their identity, their innocence, and any prize that they are given that could possibly make them feel special? You know that saying, all girls are beautiful in their own way? I would like to change that. I believe that all girls are strong in their own way, because those girls don't need to feel like they are appreciated for the way they look. We need to convince them they are admired for their strength. Because no matter how they are feeling on the inside, they still have the will to live each day and be thankful for however little they have and to keep breathing. As young mothers, they give everything they have to their children. They give their entire lives to them, no matter how insignificant. Even when their husbands have abused them, even when the responsibilities of a mother weigh heavy on their shoulders, even when they are just too tired. And they do it because they know that the children they bore have done nothing to deserve anything but unwavering love and care. Because maybe there is a chance that one day these same children might change the world that their mothers were so afraid of. And they can make it better for the generations of girls to come. Believe it or not, these same children are already trying to speak out against childhood marriages. Some girls are causing major controversy throughout entire villages by just saying no. Yes, voicing an opinion in this situation is considered extremely rebellious and wrong in Tanzania, India, and Yemen. Some of these young girls are even risking their own lives because of one word, no. But that one word could change the world. And why are they able to speak out against their own parents and against tradition itself? It's because they're strong. Fortunately, we are strong. But unfortunately, they are not yet strong enough to eliminate childhood marriages. They need our help. We need to encourage their strength to become great and to create a monumental change. So if we are willing to stand up against what we believe is wrong, even if it means that we're ending an ancient tradition, then we need to give the children a better generation to come. So be the voices of the girls who are afraid to say one word. That one word could change their entire world, and you know they could change yours too. Thank you.
I opened my eyes, feeling a few drops of water on my face. Licking my lips to figure out what it is, I realized the ceiling leaking again from the rain. I look around to wake my family up, tell them it is time for me to leave for work. But I forget. My dad died and my mom ran off with another man. Tomorrow, I am sent to a rug factory where my fingers will never stop bleeding from tying the knots all day, where my tired, dried eyes will never be able to rest, and where my body will get numb from sitting for 15 hours in my cramped space. But it's okay. I have no other choice, because I have no family, no place to go, and nothing I can do. This poem of mine tells the story of Bainod, a 13-year-old who is just one of 150 million children engaged in child labor around the world. Children are often engaged in different forms of work, no matter what their motives are. However, if a child's physical, mental, social, or educational development is in any way hindered due to their involvement in dangerous activities, he or she is referred to a child laborer. Every human being under 18 is a child who should not be engaged in such harsh and hazardous work. However, children around the world, just like Bainod, especially in poor countries, are to this day trafficked, kidnapped, or sold into slavery, a condition in which they're routinely abused, both physically and mentally. While we're sitting in classrooms discussing whose vacation plans are more entertaining, children on the other side of the globe are engaged in different forms of child labor, such as begging on the streets, enslavement and armed conflict, prostitution, and trafficking of drugs. Asia and South America are known to have the largest numbers of child labor cases, which is almost 78 million, or 9.3% of child population. And Sub-Saharan Africa has the highest percentage of child labor, which is over 21%. Basically, poor countries tend to have a higher rate of child labor, a recurring phenomenon explained by many different reasons. First, as you have already guessed, poverty. Everyone needs resources to secure food, shelter, and the other basic requirements of subsistence. And because families don't have enough to live off of, they send their children, even if the work is dangerous. Second, education. Here's the literacy rate map of the world. Because there is no universally available education for children, children are sent to work. Consequently, there can be no development when children, the representatives of the future, are not educated. Instead, children are slated to a doomed cycle of repetition. Work, work, and work. Third, there is no strong set of laws that enforce children's rights nor laborers' rights generally in the world's poorest countries. This results from the lack of education and organization of workers and the inefficiency of governments. Even if there exist laws, they're not enforced properly because of the understaffed and underfunded government organizations. Here's the quote from India's Child Rights Protection Committee. Unfortunately, our child labor prohibition and regulation is totally outdated. Unfortunate? These kids suffer every day in such horrible conditions. So what can we do about it? The main thing these countries and people need is awareness. Without working with local communities, advocacy from abroad, though significant, will be markedly less fruitful. Providing education and raising awareness among the children that are subjected to child labor will ultimately have a more lasting impact than rhetoric and forced intervention. Although these problems cannot be solved at once, with patience and sufficient funding, we will be able to take care of these children as if they're our very own neighbors. The unique challenges each child labor faces cannot be addressed generally with standard education and should be individualized according to their needs. No matter how hard we try to eliminate child labor, there will always be children that are desperate enough to take their places. This will continue until the conditions of global poverty have subsided. However, if every child is provided with his or her fundamental entitlements that children in developed countries take for granted, child labor will end. I believe that what makes childhood a different, special part of our lives is the endless possibilities we're given to chase our dreams. And it is not fair that these children do not. We must change this. Thank you.
Anyone who knows me knows that I love America. I really love the United States of America, the greatest country in the world. I love that we're 2-0 in world wars. I love every hot dog, every hamburger, and every apple pie. I love the U.S. from the East Coast to the West Coast. But there's one thing that I don't really like. That's water parks. I know it might sound crazy at first. However, I believe that there are 3 necessities in life, and they are the following: food, shelter, and water. And while the United States and even countries in Europe and Asia are playing in water for fun on a hot day, it is estimated that about 750 million people throughout the world lack access to clean water. That is about 2.5 times the size of the United States. And out of those people, 840,000 of them die in 1 year from a water-related disease. Again, to put that into perspective, that is about the population of San Francisco. Another horrifying fact that scares me to even say it is that 1 in every 5 child deaths is because of a water-related disease. Even when people in Africa are able to find a clean water supply, they could have to travel for over a day just to get the water. That doesn't include having to walk back. On the contrary, when we need water, all we have to do is get up, and at the turn of a handle, we have all the water we want. Unless you live in California, that is. About 64% of households in Africa rely on women and children to find clean water. Out of that, it is estimated that 140 million hours are spent a day by women and children collecting water. While the normal family in Africa goes through all of this to simply get water to do daily deeds like drinking and bathing, there are water parks throughout the world that do not disclose the amount of water they consume, which leads to the suspicion that it is an excessive amount. It is time for transparency, just like in the fast food industry. If you go to a McDonald's or a Burger King, you can look at the nutritional facts for every item on the menu. Now, if they have it in fast food, why can't water parks do it? It is not only Africa that is experiencing a water dilemma. In the state of California, they are going through one of the worst droughts in U.S. history, which has forced them into a state of emergency. Despite this drought, nearly a month ago, pop star Lady Gaga wasted approximately 300,000 gallons of water while shooting a music video. That is unacceptable. The worst part about all these facts that I'm telling you about is the one thing that stands out the most. It's solvable. This isn't like world peace where, as much as I would love to see it one day, it will most likely never happen. No, this is different. It doesn't matter who you are. You can help. Now, if you haven't really been listening to me, then listen up. Because if I want you to take one thing away from my presentation, it's this. The website, UNICEFTapProject.org, is a place where you can do probably the biggest fear of all teenagers nowadays: to put down your phone. I know, scary. So instead of checking what's new on Twitter, or playing some useless game, or trying to beat your personal record for how many likes you can get on an Instagram picture, you can put your phone down and not touch it for 15 minutes. To do it, all you have to do is go to the website and press start. It's that easy. Every 15 minutes you go without touching your phone, you're able to provide a child with full water, or with a full day with clean water. So next time you're just randomly flipping through your phone, just remember this website. And if you truly cannot go without your phone, then simply donate to the cause on the same website. It's in your hands now, ladies and gentlemen. And just remember, even something small can make a huge difference. Thank you.